Welcome, beautiful dreamer. I'm Susan Brock, and I'm so happy to share this reading of Chapter 1 from my new book, The Dreamer Path. This book is an invitation to slow down, listen deeply, and rest in your authentic self. In this first chapter, we begin the journey together. Here's a short excerpt to enjoy. And if you'd like to hear the full chapter, you can join me at the Beautiful Dreamer Society on Substack. It's free to subscribe, and the link is right below. Chapter 1, D. Dream into your body, dream into wholeness. Spirit of crystal, you are the stars come to earth, Spirit made visible. You guard the cosmic order and shape the natural world. You give us your body to form our own. Your energy brings us healing, grounding, and peace. You hold rainbows within you and the light of the moon and sun. You bring structure and order. You nourish our dreams. We begin this dreamer journey not in abstract thought, but in our bodies. We are beings of earth and spirit. This body is our sacred home for this life's journey, a gift from Mother Earth. When we are rooted in the earthly part of ourselves, we can remember that healing doesn't float above us. It lives deep in our bones, in the rhythms of our breath and organs, in the dreaming silence of skin and cells. Mary Oliver says in The Wild Geese, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." The language of dreams, of story and metaphor, all gifts from our earth, will take us there. Our natural language is stories. These include our own stories and stories we collect along the way. We who gather here are the mystics and dreamers, the healers and artists. We lead the way to new ways of being and connecting with each other. It has always been so. Most of us have forgotten who we truly are in the busyness of life and the overwhelm and anxiety of living in these troubled times. We tend to think there is something wrong with us, that we are flawed in some way because we feel disconnected from ourselves and others, because we can't get out of the cycle of busyness. And still, we lead. But what if the problem lies not with us, but with our culture? Many wise teachers have said that anxiety is a natural reaction to living in an abnormal culture. Martha Beck says, "It is a weird world out there right now, and if you're like me, you're feeling more than a little anxious. Anxiety has been called the mental illness of our time, but in fact it's not a mental illness. It's an understandable reaction to an abnormal world that we never evolved to handle." Remember, your body holds deep wisdom. Our bodies speak to us through our dreams. Waking up in the land of talking heads. As a culture, we live in our heads. Our body's primary function seems to be moving our heads from one place to another. Our culture benefits from keeping us off balance and feeling like we're always behind. It benefits from us thinking we're not good enough or not worthy. The dark side of the myth of the American dream, for example, is that if we don't achieve great financial success, the only kind that counts, then it's our fault, our failure. And we should beat ourselves up about it and keep grinding away to succeed. But what if it's not our fault at all? What if we could pause, rest, and dream and find our own stories and our own definitions of success? I loved working with young children in my Waldorf classrooms, but I did not love the endless cycles of meetings we were expected to attend in addition. I tried to keep up with my colleagues, to do what was expected of me. I ended up exhausted and sick. Many of us did, actually. And I knew I was pushing myself too hard, but I didn't stop. Even as I cared for others, honored and taught them to honor their own bodies and inner rhythms, even as I stopped remembering my dreams because I could barely drag myself out of bed in the morning. Starting from when we were very young, our families, schools, and communities shaped us to fit in. We often quickly learned to hide the parts of ourselves that weren't accepted. Most of our school systems prepared us for a life of following other people's rules and rhythms, not honoring our own bodies or the rhythms of nature. They prepared us for a life of fitting in, perhaps sitting at a desk in a small office, or like me, working in a cubicle that I shared with another employee, separated by low walls in a huge open maze of space. Our brains and bodies are not meant to be confined in these ways. We unconsciously learned that fear would keep us motivated to produce more, and of course, producing more is the prime directive. Producing and having lots of money and material things is what life is all about. Or, so our left-brain society would have us believe. If you've ever learned about right and left sides of the brain, you may recognize that this way of living is completely left-brained. That's our logical, materialistic side. It brings us into what Martha Beck calls the anxiety spiral. We feel the only way to stay safe is to be constantly on guard against danger. If we always stay worried about this, we will be safe, which keeps the anxiety spiraling. There's no escape, at least not through left brain thinking. Martha writes in her book Beyond Anxiety about how we tend to fight against our anxiety. We use the word fight a lot in our language. Fighting for peace. Seems like a strange phrase to me. But what if we didn't have to fight? What if we could embrace our anxiety? What if we could embrace all the parts of ourselves? What if we could give love and comfort to the scared parts of ourselves as we comfort a frightened child? We can begin creating a sanctuary for ourselves by simply taking a breath or 3 and giving ourselves some space. We can use a brief moment to tune into our bodies and be kind to ourselves, especially our scared parts. In the book, Simplicity Parenting, author Kim John Payne writes, "When your child seems to deserve affection least, that's when they need it most." I would suggest that the same holds true for our own tender, vulnerable parts. So let us begin not by fixing ourselves, but by remembering that we're not broken. We can do that by creating moments of stillness where we find our way back to solid, sacred ground, back to the wisdom of our bodies and our dreams. I'll share more about my journey from lawyer to artist later, but looking back, I can see that becoming a lawyer was deeply tied to my desire for my mother's approval. My work left me drained and overwhelmed, so when my position at the legal aid clinic was cut due to budget reductions, it felt like a gift from the universe. I felt nothing but relief. I had known since about halfway through law school that I didn't truly want to practice law, but I didn't know what else to do, so I pushed through and finished my degree, a choice that, in hindsight, has served me well. After practicing law full-time and struggling with stress and health challenges, I knew I didn't want to continue practicing law. I took an administrative job at the university and began taking art classes. I took that pause to reconsider and reconnect. It was the beginning of my dreamer journey, a moment of courage and authenticity. While this book shares my heart and journey, it's really about your path. I share my stories so you will know that I'm walking beside you, that I too am still finding my way home. Thank you for listening to this excerpt from The Dreamer Path. To hear the rest of Chapter 1 and receive future sound baths, meditations, and gentle stories, come visit me at the Beautiful Dreamer Society on Substack. The link is in the description.